You'd think a dinner to celebrate my promotion would come with champagne and pride. Instead, it came with Chardonnay and sabotage. The private dining room at Bella Vista had always struck me as performative white linen flickering candlelight and a wine list longer than their ethics policy. Tonight, it felt like a stage, and I'd walked right into the middle of a play I hadn't auditioned for. I wore navy structured sharp and unapologetic, the kind of dress made for women who lead meetings, not pour coffee. I was 34, a newly named vice president, the youngest in Richardson's history, the kind of title that should command respect, if not from strangers, then at least from family. But I'd forgotten one thing. This wasn't my family. It was his. Nathan's hand brushed the small of my back as we approached the table. "Let's just get through it," he murmured, a whisper meant for support. It landed more like surrender. The table was already full, Margaret perched at the head like a monarch without mercy. Danielle adjusted her diamond bracelet. Claire sat quietly, eyes unreadable. Sophie's seat was empty, of course. Danielle smiled. Lip gloss perfect. "Well," she said, voice honeyed with disdain, "someone's clearly been handing out promotions like party favors." Margaret raised her glass. Or maybe Richardson's finally embracing creative metrics. Laughter, tinkling and cruel. I smiled. That kind you rehearse in parking lots and powder rooms. Actually, we exceeded all growth targets this year. 30% increase across strategic segments. It wasn't handed. It was earned. Danielle tilted her head, mock curious. "You must be exhausted. Trying to keep up while Sophie's out there setting the new bar." The air shifted. Her name floated like a weapon. I forced another smile. I didn't realize she'd already started. "She's the youngest person on strategy," Margaret said. Natural intuition, just like Danielle. And just like that, my promotion vanished from the conversation. But Claire hadn't said a word. Not until she did. She set her glass down quietly, deliberately, and said interesting timing considering what landed on my desk this morning about Sophie. Silence. Heavy and sudden. Danielle blinked. Margaret stiffened. Claire offered no clarification, only a sip of wine. But the thread had been pulled, and something inside me straightened. You'd think a dinner to celebrate my promotion would at least come with one genuine congratulations. Turns out they brought wine and mockery instead. The chilled air of Bella Vista's private dining room was supposed to feel luxurious, but tonight it clawed at my skin. I'd chosen the navy sheath dress on purpose sharp-tailored, just like the woman who had outpaced her entire division's projections and earned the kind of promotion people used to say I wasn't cut out for. A vice president before 35. I'd rehearsed my speech, imagined smiles, maybe even pride. But I forgot this wasn't my family. It was his. Nathan stood beside me like a well-dressed afterthought. "Let's try to enjoy tonight," he mumbled, nudging the small of my back as we stepped toward the table. It was already full. Margaret sat at the head flanked by Danielle and Claire. Wine glasses shimmered under low lighting. Napkins folded like origami. Eyes sharper than the knives. "Oh," Danielle smiled as we approached her lip gloss, catching the flicker of candlelight, "so this is what corporate desperation looks like." The first laugh came too quickly. Margaret didn't even try to disguise hers, tipping her glass as if in toast. "They must be lowering standards," Danielle added with a grin. "Or raising something else," Margaret chimed in, letting the words curl like smoke from a too-sweet cigar. I stood there smiling like a woman who had accidentally walked into the wrong party, unsure if I should laugh or run. Nathan said nothing. He never did. It's good to see everyone I managed sliding into the only empty seat. My palms dampened the linen napkin I placed in my lap. I tried again. The team's growth this quarter was nearly 30%. We implemented a full strategic shift in Q1, and the results. Speaking of strategy, Margaret interjected, eyes already sparkling toward Danielle. "Sophie just got moved to the strategy team, didn't she?" Danielle beamed. "They say she's the youngest hire ever? Honestly, it's no surprise. She's just got that spark, you know." The table tilted toward Sophie, her name passed around like an heirloom. a legacy preemptively worshipped. I couldn't help but notice again how her chair sat empty. I reached for the wine. That's great for her, I said, my voice steady. Really. She's the future, Danielle declared with the confidence of someone who hadn't yet noticed their mask slipping. Claire hadn't spoken all evening. She'd sipped her drink. Slowly, eyes quietly observing everything, including me. Then, with a calm so sudden it silenced the entire table, she placed her glass down and said, "Interesting timing, considering what landed on my desk about Sophie." The air tightened. Margaret's fingers froze on her wine stem. Danielle blinked once, twice. Nathan cleared his throat. "I'm sorry," Danielle said, tone-flat color fading from her cheeks. Claire only tilted her head slightly. Nothing urgent. Yet, a beat, then another. Everyone laughed too loudly. Danielle reached for the bread basket. Margaret asked about the ravioli. But the shift had happened. You could feel it, an invisible thread pulled taut. I excused myself quietly. In the restroom, I locked the door behind me and leaned over the sink. The mirror didn't lie. My smile was cracked porcelain. My chest tight and high with shame that wasn't mine. I had come armed with numbers strategy decks and 5 years of climbing ladders lined with glass. And yet, here I was apologizing again for winning. When did I start doing that? The door creaked open as I returned and the table's laughter died down. Claire met my eyes cool, unreadable, and murmured just loud enough for me to hear, "Let's talk. Soon." Suspicion doesn't feel like a scream. It's quieter, like numbers that don't quite add up. Claire's voice had trailed me through the weekend like a scent I couldn't place. "Let's talk. Soon." The weight of it wasn't in the words, it was in how deliberately she'd said them, eyes fixed on mine as though she already knew I would dig. And I did. Monday morning, I skipped my usual 7th floor desk and rode the elevator to the 12th compliance. Technically, I didn't need to be there, but I volunteered anyway. The room buzzed under fluorescent lights and soft keystrokes. No laughter here, just numbers and rules, my kind of quiet. Jenna Liu glanced up from her desk, brows lifting. "Didn't expect to see you up here? Figured I'd help out on the quarterly audit," I said, trying to sound breezy. "Thought I could review some travel reports." She didn't press, just nodded and slid over a login token. I started with what I knew Sophie. I didn't type her name at first, just filtered by department and approval date. Let the data rise naturally. It didn't take long. A $312 dinner charged at La Caseta in Manhattan. Problem was, Sophie had clocked hours in San Francisco that same day. I checked the time zones twice. Still didn't fit. I drilled deeper. Chicago hotel receipt, 2 nights executive rate. But no calendar holds. No listed meetings. No flight records. I flagged the anomalies, saved them to a locked folder. But I said nothing. Not yet. Jenna swiveled her chair toward me sometime after lunch, a Tupperware of edamame in one hand. "You've got that math face. Something weird." "Just some inconsistent entries," I murmured, not looking up. She crunched. "Want a second pair of eyes? I can help check metadata." It felt harmless. Just data. I nodded. We started with the invoices, all processed through different vendors, but the formatting was eerily identical. Same bolded headers, same indentation error on the subtotal line. Same typo reimbursement. Jenna leaned in, eyes narrowing. "Okay, that's sketchy. 3 vendors, same template," I said. She clicked open a command console and ran a trace. These were copied. "Look at the file metadata. Same author field. Same timestamp base." I stared at the screen. That's impossible. Unless she said softly, they were all generated from the same source. She pulled up the IP logs associated with the uploads. One vendor invoice dated 6 weeks ago listed a print job sent from a network labeled Carter 5G. I blinked. That's my home Wi-Fi. Could be someone piggybacking, she offered, but her tone was too gentle to believe it. That night, I waited until Nathan fell asleep. I crept to the study and accessed the printer's internal log. The backlight glowed harshly in the dark. Last job, 3 PDFs printed at 11:52 p.m. 6 nights ago. Document names, Sophie Ref 1 PDF. Sophie Ref 2 PDF, Sophie Ref 3 PDF. I opened the first one. It looked official letterhead from a now-defunct consultancy. It praised Sophie's leadership acumen and impeccable ethics. Signed Thomas R. Kincaid. The name rang a bell. I pulled up LinkedIn. He'd retired 5 years ago. Died last summer. My hand went cold on the mouse. Somewhere upstairs, the house creaked. I wasn't imagining it anymore. This wasn't just exaggeration. It was fabrication, and it had been built inside my own home. There's a particular cruelty in discovering that your husband's loyalty was never yours to begin with. The glow of my laptop screen was the only light in the room. Nathan sat in the living room, half watching a college football game and swirling a glass of Merlot like life was pleasant unbothered. I, meanwhile, was trying not to shake. I clicked open the PDFs again. The reference letters were pristine, eloquent praise, executive fonts logos from consulting firms I vaguely recognized but couldn't quite place. One letter was signed by Jennifer Palmer, Senior Director of Strategy Corebridge Analytics. A quick LinkedIn search told me there was no Jennifer Palmer at Corebridge. In fact, Corebridge had shut down 3 years ago. Another letter hailed Sophie's mature judgment and discretion, apparently from an executive who'd retired before Sophie even started college. The third came from someone whose name didn't pull any search results. No LinkedIn, no company listings, not even a mention in archived directories. I right-clicked the files. Selected properties. Under metadata. Author N. Carter email. Com created 11:52 p.m. The same timestamp from the printer log. The same email address Nathan had used for years, back when we were starting out and sharing logins like secrets. I checked the browser history on the shared desktop. He'd never set up private mode, a laziness that now played in my favor. Search terms scrolled by in sterile Helvetica PDF signature generator, best resume reference templates, academic writing tone examples. There was even a bookmark tutorial on how to sound like a senior executive. He hadn't just helped her. He'd built it for her. I sat motionless, watching the cursor blink on the screen. My breath came shallow and cold. I opened my Cloud Vault and created a new folder. Dragged each PDF, each screenshot, every browser history log, and the print metadata into it. Encrypted. Locked with a passphrase only I would know one he'd never guess. Then I opened a new browser tab, cleared cookies, and created a throwaway email. To Claire, Whitmore, Richardson Group. Come subject internal credential concerns. Urgent message. Certain documents submitted during recent hiring may not meet internal standards. Attached materials warrant independent review. Please handle with discretion. No name, no trace. Just enough. I hit send. The wine bottle clinked in the kitchen. Nathan's voice floated in. They're saying Sophie might get bumped to senior associate soon. I swallowed the bitterness on my tongue. Hope her references hold up. There was a pause. He didn't respond. The TV volume went up a notch. My phone buzzed 15 minutes later. Claire Whitmore, subject re-internal credential concerns. Urgent message received. Let's talk at the gala. Just 6 words. No greeting, no signature. But I read them again and again. The tone had shifted cool, clipped with the gravity of someone preparing to act. And suddenly, I wasn't just a woman with doubts. I was a witness with proof, and Claire. She had just accepted the opening move. Gala nights are for celebration, but this one, it was an execution velvet gloves diamond blades. The chandeliers above shimmered like icicles held in suspense, poised to fall. Waitstaff in black vests floated past with trays of champagne, but I hadn't touched a glass. My hands were clasped before me, fingernails pressing half-moons into my palms. Claire Whitmore stood at the podium like she owned the night, and in a way she did. Silver hair coiled neatly at her nape, voice wrapped in calm precision. Good evening, everyone. She began the string quartet, fading into reverent silence. Across the room, Sophie glowed in gold satin cheeks, flushed with anticipation. Nathan stood beside her, hand casually at her back. Danielle and Margaret flanked them, smug smiles in place. I remained a few rows behind, quietly uninvited but very much present. Claire continued. We're gathered here tonight to honor growth excellence and the extraordinary talent that propels Richardson forward. Before we begin the internal appointment recognitions, her tone shifted ever so slightly. There is a matter of integrity that demands our attention. A hush fell over the room. Claire pressed a remote. The massive screen behind her blinked from the Richardson logo to a static page marked Internal Audit Findings. Her voice remained level. Our annual compliance review revealed discrepancies in the hiring documentation of one junior team member. Click. A headshot filled the screen. Sophie Carter. Gasps echoed like a wave. Sophie's smile dissolved. Nathan froze. Click. A reference letter appeared. Core Bridge Analytics. Signature Jennifer Palmer. Claire gestured to it. This individual retired 5 years ago. This company ceased operations 3 years prior. We received 3 such letters. Click. A screenshot of metadata. Author n.carter@email.com. Creation timestamp. IP address. Claire's gaze moved to the front row. These documents were generated from the Carter household, specifically from a device registered under Mr. Nathan Carter. Nathan's mouth opened. Closed. It was just formatting. She needed help. Claire didn't blink. No, it was fraudulent. A clear violation of Richardson's ethical standards. Sophie stepped forward, trembling. I didn't know. Nathan helped. He said she submitted them under her name. Claire interrupted, and benefited directly from them. Richardson does not reward deceit, no matter the intent or the family. Danielle's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering at her feet. Claire turned slightly. Effective immediately, Ms. Carter's employment is terminated. An internal review of managerial endorsements is underway. Silence. Then scattered applause. From the board table first. Then more joined in. I didn't clap. I didn't smile. I simply watched. Watched Sophie's world collapse under the weight of borrowed brilliance. Watched Nathan avoid my eyes. Watched Claire reclaim the mic after a long pause. And lastly, she said, voice as precise as ever, Ms. Emily Carter. May we have a private word? All heads turned, including Nathan's, including Sophie's, including mine. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen, heard, acknowledged. Turns out vengeance doesn't shout. It whispers, you were right, through every panicked voicemail. The morning sun barged through my blinds like it had something to prove. Too bright. Too honest. I clutched the mug of coffee in both hands, even though it had already gone cold, staring blankly at the blinking light on my phone. 17 voicemails, 4 missed calls from Nathan, 1 from Danielle, a dozen texts from numbers I'd deleted months ago. Then came the knock. 3 raps. Hesitant. I opened the door. Nathan stood there, hair disheveled, eyes rimmed in red stubble blooming across his jaw like a garden left untended. Emily, he began, voice fraying at the edges. You could have talked to me. I sipped my coffee. I did. Just not in words you listen to. He took a breath like he was about to launch into a speech, his usual playbook, guilt, nostalgia misdirection. Instead, I stepped back. There's nothing left here. Behind me, my living room was still. No scattered papers, no shared routines, just a space that for once belonged entirely to me. You know Sophie didn't mean to. Forgery isn't an accident, Nathan. She needed help. I just formatted you lied for her. You chose her. His mouth opened, but the words died on his tongue. My phone vibrated on the counter. Margaret family should protect each other. Danielle. You're vindictive. You humiliated us. Another ping. Claire. Subject follow-up to Friday's event. Emily. The board unanimously supports your advancement to strategic development lead. I'd like to discuss transition steps on Monday. Claire. I stared at the screen. My fingers hovered above the keyboard. Then typed, thank you. Let's talk Monday. Simple, clean, forward. Nathan's voice cracked. You're just going to walk away. I already did, I said. He looked like he didn't know whether to rage or cry. I didn't care. I walked past him, the door still ajar. My phone buzzed again. Claire HR also flagged more inconsistencies. Looks like Sophie wasn't the only one. I blocked Nathan's number. Then I silenced the family group chat for the final time, watching as the gray muted bell icon appeared next to their names, Margaret, Danielle, all of them. I slid open the balcony door. Cool air swept over me. Not sharp. Not hostile. Just clean. And for the first time in months, I exhaled. Not with bitterness, not with triumph. Just breath. Just me. Not the outsider at their table. Not the wife who stayed quiet. Not the scapegoat. Just Emily. And I wasn't sorry anymore. Some exits are silent. Mine was tailored, composed, and utterly irreversible. The doors of Richardson HQ slid open with a pneumatic hush. Not the kind of grand entrance you'd expect for someone about to be named Strategic Director of the West Region. But that was the point. I didn't need trumpets. I needed truth. I walked past the receptionist, who now greeted me with a genuine smile, not the pitying one she'd reserved months ago. The elevator ride up was quiet. Just me, my reflection, and a growing sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. HR was efficient, polite, unapologetic. Your new title is effective today, the woman in the burgundy blouse said, pushing a clean folder across the table. Strategic Director, West Region, she added. Sophie Carter's termination has been finalized. Her records show at least 2 reference anomalies. And well, there's now scrutiny on Danielle Carter's hires. Several positions with no known deliverables. I nodded. No glee. No surprise. Claire met me just outside the conference room. A tailored navy coat over her shoulders, sunglasses perched high. You didn't just expose a lie, she said, voice low but unwavering. You made the truth louder. She extended a small embossed envelope. For later. I tucked it into my bag without looking. One last stop. The Carter house was quiet, devoid of sound life excuses. I entered with my spare key, now just a flat piece of metal with no meaning. The office was exactly how he'd left it. Papers askew, a cracked mousepad printer blinking low on ink. I packed my box in silence. One photo of me at a team retreat alone on a kayak paddle high. The rest? Irrelevant. On the desk, I left the key. No note. No goodbyes. No performance. That night, my new condo greeted me with bare walls and quiet floors. A single orchid sat by the window. I hadn't picked it for symbolism. I just liked orchids. I opened the last box. Inside, beneath folders and a laptop charger, was the promotion plaque Claire had handed me earlier, Emily Carter, Strategic Director, West Region Richardson Group. I didn't hang it out of pride. I hung it as proof. I earned this. Alone. I stepped back, arms crossed. My phone buzzed once. A text from Jenna Drinks to celebrate. I smiled. Soon. Then I noticed the envelope Claire had given me earlier. Thick cream-colored paper. Handwritten return address, Claire Whitmore. I opened it carefully. Inside her script curved in ink. Emily, when the storm clears and you're ready for more thinkboard seat. Let's build something unshakable. Claire. The page smelled faintly of sandalwood. My past had unraveled in whispers, but the future was mine. No apologies. The applause had long faded, but its echoes remained in every closed door that no longer held power over her, in every truth that refused to stay buried. What began as a toast of mockery ended in a reckoning that neither blood ties nor forged titles could outrun. Like stormlight slicing through a polished ballroom, justice arrived, not to dazzle but to cleanse. Because when cowardice hides behind family and lies dress as loyalty, only courage has the power to redefine legacy. And sometimes the quietest revenge is walking away with everything they tried to take.